Jeezy Sports. Tune in for the offline tour. Like and subscribe some more. With Jackson, Brian and Randy Savage. Me talk about Jeezy Sports. Tune in for the offline tour. Like and subscribe some more. With Jackson, Brian and Randy Savage. Me talk about Jeezy Sports. Yeah, check out
whether it's the treble that has taken place that no one's speaking about, whether it is Romelu Lukaku could have won it, whether it is the Miami Heat being cooled off in the NBA Finals, it is GZ Sports. And again, it is Jackson Bryan and Randy Savage as we're here again. Vamos.
Vamos, my friend. How are you doing today on this lovely Sunday afternoon?
You know, we're alright. Actually was preparing to watch the third place playoff in the Jamaican Premier League, Arnett Gardens versus Harbour View. That's going to be a really good game, I think. Unfortunate, because this should have been the final. But, alas, we'll watch the final later on today. How about yourself?
What?
What about yourself? How are you?
How about myself? Well, I'm just chilling, just been looking forward to the show all day. Football, as we know it, is over for the next 2-3 months. It's going to be a very somber summer, to be honest. But alas, we can say that the transfer window being open will boost, and charity matches will boost a little bit of life and football action into our life. But, similar to the final, bringing up to the final, I want to hear your predictions. Who do you think win the final today? I don't really even care about the third place, I just want to hear about the final.
Well, for this final, it's hard to pick someone because on one hand, you have Theodore Whitmore, who was an absolute failure with this country, and people still don't want to admit it. And on the other hand, you have Rudolph Speed, who was an absolute failure at my school. So I don't care. I hope both teams lose. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But, I don't want... I'd love it. I'm turning into Kevin Keegan right now. Where are my headsets? I'd love it if Cavalier gets a result and wins it this evening. Tell you that.
I actually think Cavalier will win as well. Mount Pleasant, while they played really well, they're still a very young and inexperienced team. I believe they were originated in 2017, was it? And 2018?
Was sometime before the pandemic from Mr. Gould, former Chelsea employee.
Exactly. This Cavalier team are quick. While they're not much better for wear than their opponents in terms of quality, I think experience is going to be what shifts the tides in their favor today, which will eventually lead the match to a 2-0 or 2-1 victory for them. That's what I'm hoping at least.
Yeah, that's what we... Oh, but, we need to actually get into the show. We're giving predictions. First bit of business, and it's kind of a prediction as well, but football's not over. Club football is, yes, but football's not over. Today is the 11th of June, and the Gold Cup, the Caribbean Gold Cup, starts on the 16th and goes till the 16th of July. And we're going to be watching that shit. We're going to be watching that because as Jamaicans, I think this is the time we need to win the Gold Cup. 2 years in a row, we're bridesmaids, but we need to make that step up now. A good squad is assembled. Damari Gray, Leon Bailey, Dishon Bernard is here. Sad news that Damien Lowe pulled his hamstring last night, so it's a bit troubling there, but we still have Ethan Pinnock, Dexter Limbikisa. So, what do you rate Jamaica's chances in the Gold Cup, actually? Against the likes of Canada, the Americans, of course, Mexico, even Costa Rica?
Really and truly, I actually feel we have quite a fair bit of chance. I mean, Haugenson, he hasn't been at the wheel for too long, so it's hard to say. But really and truly, this Canada team right now, I don't really fear them anymore. Not after that disaster class World Cup performance. The US, Mexico, obviously, those are the two nations that have prevented us from winning it in the past. But I still say that from the Caribbean region, we have the highest chance of going all the way to the knockouts. At the very least, I expect us to go to the semis or the finals again. So, if you're asking me how much chance that we have to win, if we play the cards right, if our players turn up, if our players try and actually fight for the badge this time and the flag, then I can see us having, say, a 30% chance, a 33.33% chance of succeeding. Because as I've said, Mexico and the United States are still really there. I don't really fear Canada. I feel as if Canada is going to go out really early in this competition due to losing to the Mexicans or the Americans, right? But I'm fully backing either myself, the US, or Mexico to win.
Yeah, it's always the big three, you know. Some people would even throw Haiti or Trinidad into that conversation. But you know what the big three in CONCACAF is? It is Jamaica, it is Mexico, it is the United States, even though we've been underwhelming for the past couple of years. Apart from that, with international football, there's not really much. That's kind of the only international football we have until club football begins its pre-season in July. Transfer window, as you said, that's heating up. And that brings me into just a bit of transfer news, you know, taking over your show for you. Newcastle United. Two topics with Newcastle. One, the transfer budget that apparently is about £75 million, which I think is ridiculous. And two, them looking at alternatives for Kieran Tierney, and Kyle Walker-Peters, who's been relegated, is one of those alternatives. Now, on the first point, Newcastle with £75 million, that is kind of absurd. Reason being, I know FFP, you know, everything like that, but they had 75 million before they confirmed Champions League football. They finished fourth, which gave them an extra 64 million, if I'm not mistaken. Plus, they signed a new shirt deal for 25 million a year. So you're looking at around 150 million, just to stay within the FFP borderlines to not be, you know, sanctioned so early. And second part, Kieran Tierney, £30 million, and Arsenal not budging on that fee, and now they're looking at Walker-Peters. For you, Newcastle, the Geordies, they're back with the money. What would be a successful summer transfer window for Newcastle? And two, should they still go in for Kieran Tierney?
Alright, 30 million, when you look at your budget, you realize that's almost half of your budget. And you can't put half of your budget on an injury-prone left back. It doesn't matter how good the player is, if he's injury-prone, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to invest 30 million. A successful summer, you know, for them would be me seeing them maybe spending some money on, you know, loaning a couple players that can help out Bruno Guimaraes in the midfield. You know, Guimaraes to Olympia has been really well. There's no way you need to replace anybody in the back line. I don't think. Maybe just get one or two replacements. But, you know, it's hard to think of who can really improve this Newcastle team. Maybe they need a striker. We all know that a lot of strikers are available in Europe, but not many top ones that they can get for 75. But as I said, I think 75 is really, really ridiculous, especially considering that you get about 100 plus million for finishing in top four, right? You get way more than 100 million, because I believe eighth is 90.8 million or something like that, right? I think they get about 150 million. To only give them 75 million, I'm assuming that the owners will be giving that money in order to remain competitive, to be competitive in the Premier League and to be competitive especially in the Champions League. What I don't get is if they're serious or if they're just messing around. You cannot expect, look at the top clubs. Every single top club spends over 75. At the very least, look at Chelsea the last two transfer windows, over 300 million. They haven't been sanctioned yet, right? Look at City over the last 9 years, United 1.2, 1.1 billion. There's no way. The least they need in order to remain competitive is 125 million. And I think that should be nothing for the owners, as especially how you qualify for the Champions League, you automatically get about 20 million. Every win, every match you play, you already get millions of dollars. So I don't think it should be a big problem. But it's Newcastle. Personally speaking, I really don't have anything against the club. I actually want to see them thrive, become the new Leicester City. But at the same time, as you said, it's ridiculous. It's genuinely ridiculous. And I don't know who they're going to be able to acquire with only 75.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, man, because Maddison and Moussa Diaby, Dominic Szoboszlai, Scott McTominay, Kieran Tierney, that hell, Szoboszlai alone brings you to 70 million, so I don't get what they're talking about. But we'll have more chance on using that's on you. That's purely on you. We move on to just on the pitch things, and West Ham United. It's been 84 years. I'm kidding. But it's been a long time for West Ham winning a European trophy. Finally, Moyes has done it. Mikel Antonio, shout out to him, first Jamaican to win a UEFA competition, knockout competition that is. David Moyes, he saved West Ham from relegation, as we were speaking some weeks before the end of the season. It would be funny for them to win the Conference League and be in the Championship. Well, he's going to be in the Premier League and the Europa League next season after finishing around 15th, which is an outstanding job in the knockouts. This wasn't really the question, but I need to know, but where does David Moyes rank in terms of Premier League managers right now, based on his latest achievements?
Right now, latest achievements, while it is a very special and especially great that West Ham have managed to win the UECL, I still don't really rate Moyes' season as highly as I ought to. One reason is that it's just not been great. Winning the UECL is good and dandy, but when you literally perform lackluster for the entire rest of the season, you were literally a couple of games away from relegation. Man, if I'm ranking him in terms of managers, he's probably 11th or 12th, to be really honest with you, because while this trophy has boosted his reputation in my eyes. Go ahead.
No, you can go. I wasn't saying it.
I told you that his reputations, while this win has boosted his reputations in my eyes, it's still not good enough in the Premier League and in the other local-based cup competitions for me to rank him too highly.
I mean, 12th or 11th. We could go through the managers here. I mean, I got a bit of time. Pep, yes. Arteta, yes. Ten Hag, yes. Eddie Howe, yes. Klopp, Emery, Marco Silva, Thomas Frank, De Zerbi. We don't know who the Spurs manager is. So, we know who Ange Postecoglou is, but we're not going to put him there yet. He's never managed in the league yet.
So he's automatically disqualified.
Who the hell is left? Man, this is really bad. Gary O'Neill. I mean, do you put Gary O'Neill over David Moyes?
Nah, Moyes is above O'Neill.
I thought. But him, I can't go through all these Premier League managers now either way. But what does this mean for West Ham? Well, Declan Rice is probably leaving for Arsenal for about £90 million. They're going to have to replace him. James Ward-Prowse has been on the list. He's been mentioned. So has they thought they could have gotten Yuri Tielemans. We know what happened with that. He's gone to Villa. They lose Rice, right? They get £90 million pounds. Based on their league positioning and everything. Let's say they stick locally and go for a player that was in the Premier League. From any team you can pick from in the Premier League, ones that got relegated or the ones that are still in the league. Who do you think would be the best option to replace Rice in that holding